welcome to another Make It Matter moment. I'm your host, Ryan C. Greene, and we have the man himself today. You may have heard this gentleman's name dropped a couple times if you've watched other episodes, listened to other podcasts. Today we have Mr. Brian J. Olds himself, founder of the Black Speakers Network. Welcome to the show.
Listen, thank you so much, Ryan. Super excited to be here. What an awesome project, man. And I know this is going to impact so many people, brother. So appreciate it. And thanks for having me on.
I'm excited. Thank you, man. You're one of the first people I reached out to, and I was like, how can I make this project, reach the masses, and who can I go to that can really help this thing along? You're one of the first person I reached out to. Been watching your journey. I say it every time we're on the camera together, man. I've been watching your journey since you were a college student, man, and just seeing you have come from where you come from to having this international Black Speakers organization that you founded, man. How did you get to this point? Like when you started, when you said, "Hey, I'm going to start an organization," like, is this what you saw? Like, did you see it this big? Like, I mean, and I know this is probably not this. I noticed it in the end, so I know you still got, things you see this happening with this organization. So how did you become Mr. BSN?
Yeah, you know what? I always tell people, I'm absolutely the skinny kid from Baltimore, certified introvert. I mean, you've seen the t-shirts that we got out now. It's on my LinkedIn profile. And so, I couldn't lead two people in silent prayer back in 2006 is what I like to say, but it's not far from the truth. When I got up in front of an audience, it was the sweaty palms, the shaky voice. My first presentation, I almost walked out of the room, but, starting from there at Morgan State University to now, it's been, I think, really the coalescence of three specific journeys. One is my own journey to be a more confident speaker, and that started in Toastmasters. They always say that everything that you want in life, Ryan, is waiting for you right outside of your comfort zone, and you are no stranger to pushing the envelope, to pushing the upper limit of what is right at the edge of that comfort zone, and then going beyond that. So I think that's kind of journey one. Journey two was, initially in college, man, like a lot of people, I found myself lost. I was originally I wanted to be an aerospace engineer, like a literally rocket scientist.
I never knew that. New information.
Yeah, man, that was my journey. I was the kid sitting on the living room floor watching the NASA space shuttle launches, and I was like, "Yep, I want to do that." Told my parents to send me to space camp. My mom specifically, she was like, "Space camp, we ain't paying for that. So you better watch this Cape Canaveral launch." And so I went on this path. I started taking stuff apart in my room and never put it back together, but taking stuff apart in my room, fixing computers, and eventually made my way to like calculus 2, and that's where it kind of all started falling apart. I don't know, Ryan, if you had to take in those higher level math classes.
I took calculus 1, and that was when math stopped using numbers. I knew it was a problem.
Bro, I'm like, this TI-83 must be broken. I'm hitting it on So that was number 2. It was a reemergence. I found myself in the School of Business at Morgan, but I really didn't have a defined career path because I felt like I was starting over. So we had the speaking, we had the career journey, and then lastly, I ended up in corporate America. I'm a little bit of an atypical millennial, on the older side of the millennials. So I worked for the same company for 11 years. But in that process, I held really 3 kind of careers within one company. I started in finance, then I moved to what I consider to be my dream job, and that was training and development. And so, having gone through Toastmasters, I was super excited about the opportunity to be a professional speaker. And now I was speaking literally 5 days a week, training on the East Coast, the West Coast, went to Canada, had an opportunity to really develop content. And I went back to school to actually learn instructional design and adult learning theory and how to put together curriculums. And then the third career was in diversity and inclusion. And that kind of opened my eyes to, how where some of the opportunity gaps are. And when I started looking at that in the speaking industry, going to organizations and predominantly seeing just a lack of Black people. I'm like, coming from an HBCU, I'm like, do we not know that speaking is a thing and how much money is here, and also how much of an impact we can have just with our voice and doing what you do, Ryan, which is helping people take ideas out of their head, remix it, and put it into a package or a product. uh, I didn't see a lot of people from where I came from looking at that as a viable career path. It's kind of like
Right.
you have a speaker, you see somebody that's a speaker, but you're not really thinking about that for yourself. And so those three journeys brought me to that place. And in 2016, Black Speakers Network was born.
Man, only 2016. I feel like it's been here so much longer, but yeah, that's been
Right?
some phenomenal success in such a short period of time, man. So great, man. So talk to us about your chapter. And for those who are watching, I didn't say, but you said at the bottom, we're talking about making your message matter. So when we're talking about speaking, you talked about how a lot of us in our community, hadn't necessarily looked at speaking as a career. But then let's talk about those who are looking at it as a career, those who have something to say. But we need what is your chapter going to help us understand about formulating that message in a way that's going to make it matter, make it have some impact, so we're not just out there talking.
Yeah. So my chapter is specifically about building memberships and communities. And
Okay.
so obviously I started BSN with the goal, like our mission is to equip, connect, and inspire what I call the next generation of Black professional speakers. Not really focused on age, but focusing on people who really, like you said, they self-select and like, hey, I have a message, may not
Mhm.
be sure how to bring it to market, but BSN is here. And so within the BSN community, we're primarily focused on taking people from, hey, I'm thinking about being a speaker to, hey, I actually have a business model that will support me in speaking. And so in building that since 2016, I mean, I agree. It feels like dog years, like we're here already, but the reality is my methodology for behind the scenes of building BSN is really what I wanted to use the chapter to pull back the curtain a little bit and help people realize how powerful it is to build communities. My overall thought process in this entire process, Ryan, has been really three tiers. It's, I want to build partnerships, I want to build communities, and I want to build systems. Those three things, which I know that you do an amazing job at as well. That's the reason why we're even here. Partnerships, finding other people that you can align with, entrepreneurs, other industries, forming strategic partnerships, creating communities, places where people can come and learn, share best practices, share resources, and really to get inspiration on what is possible. You got people that have been doing it for 20 years, but then you also have people that, just, launched their first book yesterday, that just made their
Right,
first,
right.
$1,000 yesterday. And so being able to directly learn and be inspired by the people who are doing the work right now. And then also systems. I think one of my favorite quotes from Dr. George Frazier, he always says that, systems ideas are good, but at the end of the day, systems are better. And
Right,
so
right.
everybody's always talking about different ideas. Like a great idea is to buy black, but that doesn't happen until you have a marketplace, until you have a system, a place, an app, anything that will actually facilitate that exchange. And so the chapter is focused specifically on building membership communities. And at the end of the day, I believe that if you're building a business 2021 and beyond, and you're not overlaying it in some type of community, you're missing the boat. um, Look at any major brand, whether it's Disney, and I'm not talking about just subscriptions, which is the monetizing the actual membership community, but you look at Target, you look at Disney, you look at really Panera Bread, like any major consumer brand is figuring out a way to build deeper relationships with
Mhm.
the audience that you serve. We're no longer in this age of one way communication where you just put out a product or service and you just expect people to consume it and keep coming back. People want to have a sense of connectivity with the brands that they're working on.
Yeah.
And that's where the chapter is focused on. And so I share 4 C's of actually building a thriving membership community. And so for those of individuals who are trying to figure out how to mirror some of what we did in BSN, and perhaps, create these dynamic relationships with their memberships that's going to add to the longevity of their business. Then, my chapter which is designed hopefully to be a great starting point in that journey.
Man, that's awesome. And you says a couple of things there. One, I love the 3 points that you talked about, and I was thinking about my own journey because you kind of, you gave me a shout out, you gave me a kudos, but I'm like, the partnerships is one thing I love doing. That's why I do media. That's why I do radio. That's why I do TV and podcasts, because when I find interesting people, I want to talk to them. I want to not just talk to them myself, but share their message. So I'm like, hey, if I call someone and say, hey, you want to talk? I may get through. If I say, hey, you want to be on the show? People at least going to read the email, right? So I love the partnership part. And then the part you talked about, I know what I was missing for a long time in my business was the systems. It wasn't until 2005 or 6 years ago now, going on 6 years, that I really had the systems in place to run the business the right way, to take it from just something I enjoy doing, something I was part-time doing, something like a hustle, to making it a real business. And the profit and the time that I got back from having those systems was huge, from finally putting the systems in place. But the last piece I love you talked about was that community piece, because if and the reason I say, because I know that I've always focused on trying to build community. I don't have a BSN type community yet by any stretch of imagination, but it's like when I see that, I'm like, that when we look at business, and people always talk about ownership, but if you don't have ownership of your community, and I'll use the word fans for lack of a better term, fans, clients, customers, whoever it is that people you serve, let's use that way, the people that you serve.
Yep.
If you don't have somewhere that they are that you can control, like having Facebook followers is not owning your community, right? Facebook changed the terms of use. They could be gone.
Absolutely.
YouTube dictates who sees your videos and things like that. That's good places to put out content to serve your community. But if you don't have someplace where you have control of that community, then you're not building. So, man, when you said that, that was like that's like the missing key that a lot of people think they have, but they don't really have. And I think that's huge when you talk about business.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, because people are going to listen to this and they're like, okay, yeah, I need to know how to build that. I need to go. How many members BSN have now? Is it like
So
50?
yeah, so by the time people see this, we're easily have a community of around 12,000 individuals. And
Right.
so current and aspiring speakers from around the world,
Amazing.
certainly most of the US here, but we have members in South Africa, Nigeria, Canada,
That's
the
awesome.
Caribbean. So that continues to grow. And I think from a paid membership perspective, that's in the several hundreds. I think, our goal this year is to be at about 1,000 members, and to be directly responsible for booking 1,200 speakers on this year.
That's so awesome, because and you talk about, I'm not gonna get too deep. I don't want to know all your financials, nothing like that, but not let everybody know everything. But there was two different things that you talked about, that you have your community of people, like 12,000 people. Who wouldn't want to have 12,000 people that they have access to today? But here's the thing: it's not just having access. I'm gonna put this out here because Brian and his team consistently put out great content. Well, content, I don't mean just hate videos. I mean stuff that's going to bring value and impact to the people in their community. So there's always trainings. There's always opportunities to learn. There's always projects like this that people can take a part of, but also you give the platform to the speakers. So it's like there's always a speaker in BSN doing a seminar, doing a training. So
Always.
that's the thing. Yeah. So you've built this organization, but you built it on service. You built it on being able to provide that quality to the people whom you serve first, before your focus on, okay, how can I make money for these people, kind of deal.
Exactly. I mean, I think a lot of times in entrepreneurship, one of the things I'm really focused on right now is investing. And I've had investments in multiple companies. But the interesting thing is that, you know, the same principle applies for us as entrepreneurs. And sometimes we look at equity, you know, we tend to only think of like finances, right? So it's
Mhm.
like, hey, how much money do we have, or what, you know? But if you think about it, finances, money, like however we define it, whether it's Bitcoin or paper currency or credit or whatever, like money is the least creative form to be able to exchange value. There's all types of ways you can create and deliver value for people other than just accepting money or, you know, charging money. And I think, again, having a community is a part of that. Now, all 12,000 of those individuals, you know, we're in some sort of relationship. Some people look at BSN and they're like, wow, you know, I absolutely like the brand evangelists. These are people who are like ride or die BSN, you know, that we've been responsible for putting on stages or opening the door to, you know, projects like this. We got Speaker Magazine behind us that we had an entire issue of speakers in. And so the ability to be able to quickly create value for people, you are building up equity in a community. And to your point about the technology, that can absolutely change at any time. Like I love being able to, you know, send out an email and instantly, you know, talk to thousands of people. But at the end of the day, you have people are forming an opinion and an emotional connection to your brand every single day, whether you want them to or not.
Right,
So you
right.
have to decide whether you're going to create an intentional, again, system to be able to build up that equity over time, so that I believe that the just the overall formula of wealth is you have you're solving a problem for a select number of people. So if you want to get more, if you want to be wealthy, if you want to be more successful, whatever you call it, you have one or two choices. You could either help more people, or you could solve a bigger problem. And so
Mhm.
those are the two variables that we get a chance to play with. And in BSN, you know, I'm really I always want our growth to be a reflection of not just the number of people that we have, but the impact that we're making on the people that are in the community.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So let me ask you this: how? Because this book is about creating lives of unforgettable impact and abundant fulfillment. I think BSN is nailing the impact part. You definitely mastered how to have impact on the lives and careers of speakers. What does fulfillment look like for Brian Olds? And it doesn't necessarily have to be business wise, but we are talking about BSN. But so, how would you define fulfillment for you?
Yeah, I mean, you know, for at first, one of the, and I'm the thing for me has been this journey of, you know, evolution, right? So I think one of the things I talk about all the time is that you have to put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you're able to put it on anybody else. Like if you're
Mhm.
gone, there's no business. Or if you're unhealthy, if you're not, you know, in a great place mentally, you know, financially, you know, think of the Maslow hierarchy of needs. Like you gotta,
Right.
you know, knock that thing out before you can get at the top. That what you're talking about now kind of sits at the top of that pyramid, that self-actualization. So like, you know, at the end of the day, what does that look like? For Brian, I kind of operate on these, you see, I got everything in threes. So true speaker,
I
right?
like it. I like
Everything's a
it.
trinity. But
Wonderful.
it's you know, every single day, Ryan, I'm like, yo, let's make sure we're having fun, making money, and making impact. That impact for me comes in the form of, you know, seeing other people win. And I I mean, to be honest, at this stage of the game, I'm not a millionaire. I've not seen like seven figures, eight figures. You know, we've this is our third year, third third year cracking six figures, and then, you know, I think we're, you know, kind of be on the path to seven. But at this point, I mean, you know, I'm shooting this right now from my apartment. You know,
Mhm.
I got a house, you know, a place to live, a home. I can get a bigger home. That's fine. I drive a 2013 Nissan Altima. It's a V6, very cool, very fast. On my screensaver over here, I have a Audi R8, so my next like dream car, and these Teslas are looking pretty good as well. So,
Oh boy.
but I have a car, I have a something to drive around. Can I get a better car? Yes. So like my impact, it doesn't come with like things like those things are like fleeting. It's more experiences, and for me, I mean, I've only seen like probably 1% of the planet when you really think about it.
Right.
And those are some things that are personally fulfilling to me. You know, I want to travel to space. I want to, you know, see the world. I want to, you know, eat new foods. I want to learn new languages. I want to learn to
Wow.
play the piano. I want to eat sushi in Japan. Like those are experiences. But on the other side, it's you know, who are those people we're bringing along the way? You know, true
Mhm,
legacy
mhm.
is like what you're
Yes.
leaving behind. And so to be able to say we have, you know, 1,000 speakers who launched their careers, or in those 1,000 people, because we created something that those 1,000 people went out and did, they then impacted 10,000 people, and those 10,000 then impacted like a million. And so
Right.
those are the types of things that I see. And I don't care, like Ryan, you know me, man, it could be like somebody launching, just some of the people that are in this project, this is their first time being an author.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so if we
Absolutely.
would have bridged to that, that then became book number one, book number two, first time film project, first time e-course. Like those are the type of things that really get me excited more so than, you know, another Stripe or PayPal notification.
Wow. You know, now those Stripe and PayPals are exciting though. That's not
They're
poo-poo on those.
good.
Like no, but no, we will still want to see those though. But no, I totally understand. And that's really what the crux of this project is about, is that, you know, when the pandemic hit and the whole world got shut down, you know, some people, and rightfully, I mean, it's been tough. But I think that for a lot of people, they started to really, part of the toughness came from, wait, all my life I've been running here, doing this, doing that, trying to, you know, push this thing because this is what I felt like made me, made me alive. And you realize when you don't have those things, yeah, that's just what's left. What really what makes me feel alive, what matters. And that's where this project really came from. And what I'm hoping people will use this to kind of push themselves in the next phase. And after we were able to we started with reset 2020. I did reset and like let's reset our lives, reset the year. And then transition into this Make It Matter project, and hoping that people now will move forward with a resolve to say, listen, it's got to matter in my life. I'm only going to do those things that matter. Going to Japan to have sushi, like that matters. You don't lose that. That's with you, and it makes you feel alive, and that's important. So definitely exciting to hear you talk. You got me dreaming again, man. I'm excited, man. So,
I think it's important to keep it in front of you. And
yeah.
2020, and that's why I applaud you for just you know, making this project available, because I mean, I've known, without kind of going through, you know, the list, people have gone through some really significant loss this year,
Mhm.
and not even just COVID related, just in general. And so
Right.
I've never gone to a funeral, Ryan, where I haven't walked out of there feeling like, um, you know, with a newfound, I guess, respect for the fragility of life, and how important the three letters NOW like now is. And a lot of times as entrepreneurs, we can kind of feel like, oh well, you know, I'll just do it tomorrow, or I have next week. And you might not have next week, you know. And so sometimes we have to manufacture a sense of urgency to get the things that we know needs to get done. And then sometimes the world will manufacture that sense of urgency for
Yeah.
us, for better or for worse. And so I think projects like this that allow us to kind of keep those things focus, or refocus it for many of us, are very important. So that's why I'm so excited to be a part of it.
Absolutely, man. And just it's all tied all together. This project is dedicated to my father, who I did lose in 2020, non-COVID related, but he passed away. And this project was dedicated to him for that reason. You know, I drive. I'm kind of the exact opposite. Where I'm always, because I lost my mother at an early age 20 years ago. Urgency has always been like that's my thing. Like when I say I want to do, if I've given an idea, I'm talking to someone, and they're like, "Okay, that sounds cool." Like I'm like, okay, let's go then. They're like, hold on, wait. I'm like, no. If I say something, it's like now. Like people tell you all the time, like Ryan's it's like now with Ryan.
Real talk.
So it's like that's just because of those experiences that I've had. So yeah, but that's the thing. It's just like we can't. I learned time is just we don't have we. It's not promised. We don't know when it's going to be. And I think if nothing else, 2020 has made me feel the most mortal I've ever felt before. You know, every day, every cough, every sneeze, every you know, shortness of breath. I'm like, oh, do I have it? Like, do I have the COVID? You know, so if nothing else, I've never felt more mortal in that, you know, I don't like feeling that with so it's pushed me to want to do more, make sure that we do have that impact. So this has been a great conversation, man. I do want to ask you the same question I ask every author: is take us back to 18-year-old Brian, take us back to that freshman in college, and if you could talk to him now and give some advice to prepare him for the road that you were about to take in your life as it relates to making your message matter and building that community type deals, what kind of message would you want to give your younger self?
Yeah, 18-year-old Brian, man, I think for me, this has been a lesson of a little bit of endurance. Like I said, I worked in the same company for 11 years, and not regretting that necessarily, but I do think that going back to what we said earlier, if everything that's waiting for you in life is outside of your comfort zone, then you need to get at it. And so I would have actually ratcheted up that urgency level a little bit more. I think the thing that in BSN we kind of have this framework for teaching the professional speaking business. So it's, getting clarity on your mission, your message, your marketing, how to monetize, and how to manage your speaking business. Those are five M's. But really, there's like a sixth kind of secret M that is underlying all of that. And that secret M is mindset. We spend more time adjusting and getting people to believe that they deserve success and that they're capable of it, more than we do, building funnels and marketing strategies and
Right.
launching websites, like all of that stuff. That, like, there's a reason that people who are hyper successful um, have kind of a little bit of a ego, because they believe that they deserve it and they go
Right.
after it. And so if you're picking up the phone and asking for that check, you're asking for that meeting, you're launching that product or program, whether it's perfect or not, then y- consistency is the ultimate equalizer. And so for me, there's so many times where it's like, two steps forward, one step back, two steps forward, two steps back. It is
Right.
kind
Right.
of
Right.
like
Yeah.
so much waffling versus just, man, go for it. And there's a lot coming from where I came from. And Ryan, I know you understand this as well. There aren't as many inner city, Baltimore, success stories. And a lot of, I believe there's more than we maybe know about, because they don't get
It is.
publicized
They don't
as
get the
much.
public side. Right. Right. Right.
But what does get publicized is the people that don't make it. And so I think I would have encouraged myself to take more risks, to follow my instinct and not just what's on paper or what society is telling me I need to do. I think security, things like you know um, like if you at 18 years old, at 20 years old, and even now, I feel like at 36, I when you don't have nothing to lose, you have everything to gain. And so
Yeah.
just creating this sense, telling myself that I deserve it, that I can actually overcome whatever challenges that are there. And just it takes the same amount of energy to do things big as it does to play small. And I think given an opportunity, I would have done that. But what I'm going to do now is be an example for this generation that we have now, and really let the actions speak for themselves.
Yeah. I tell people all the time, I actually wrote this in one of my books, that it takes the same energy to write a book that's going to sell 5 copies as a book that's going to sell 5,000 copies. So you might as well go out there and do it. Believe you can do the 5,000, do what you got to do. Listen, I was looking for this quote. So I'm going to take it. Yeah, I was looking for this quote by you. And I always have kept it because I was like, I think I told you when I saw your videos, I love this quote. I'm
Yeah,
gonna use it. You said, you really don't need to replace your income. You need to replace the systems in your life that are producing an income.
absolutely.
So I want to take you out, take us out of here on this. I want you to go ahead and give contact information on how people can get in touch with you, how they can lock arms with Black Speakers Network, but then also give us just some closing remarks on just building your systems and building that community.
Yeah, I mean, folks can definitely reach me. I mean, you can Google any of us at this point. So Brian O's on everything. Pick your platform. You can find me pretty easily. Black Speakers Network is blackspeakersnetwork.com. That's speakers with an S. .com, and I invite everyone, if you're listening to this and you're like, man, I would love to, get started as a speaker or just be a part of a community. Our free community is open to you on Facebook, so just go open up Facebook, type in Black Speakers Network, click the join button, and come on into the community. You'll get a free copy of the book behind me, the Speak Up book, as a gift from coming in. But in terms of wrapping up, I think, man, this whole conversation, is the thing that keeps coming to my mind is don't let perfection or the desire to achieve perfection stand in the way of progress. I believe that everybody, I mean, right now, being a part of this project is so cool because, we're get a book, we're get, documentary, we have this interview, we have a course, like we're knocking out multiple things at once, and that's great. But a lot of people are looking and they're like, man, like I just want to get my book done. Or I just want to like write this thing. It's like, don't let this notion that it's this major project, hold you up. I believe everybody in the sound of my voice is no more than 48 hours away from having a product or service that they can, sell and deliver. Is it going to be the prettiest? No. Sexiest? No. It's going to have the best branding, packaging? No. You might not even have time to put up a website. It might just be a PayPal link. My cousin the other day, she started selling t-shirts. I was like, send me the link. She's like, there's no links. And it's like, she sent me the PayPal,
Right.
but she started, and so you gotta make forward motion. And I think, that if you can allow yourself to get in the habit of taking consistent action every day, it may not be perfect consistent action, but if it's consistent action, whether that's as a speaker, as an author, like if you're trying to be a coach, pick up the phone and start talking to people. If you're trying to be a speaker, start booking yourself onto some podcasts. If you're trying to, be an author, write a chapter outline every single day. Like whatever you need to do to make that incremental progress, make sure you do it, and hold yourself accountable to doing that. And you'll be surprised how much progress you can make in just like 60, 90 days, man. So that'd be the number one thing. I want and finally, I would encourage everyone to make sure that they fully embrace this project. I think the authors, like seeing it's not even done yet, and I'm excited about it. Just seeing the content, like this is going to be one of the most content rich, valuable pieces of personal and professional development resources, I think, coming out in 2021. So like everybody that's having the opportunity to watch this, don't just watch this video. Make sure you get the book. Make sure that you go through the courses, because it's going to be something in there for everybody.
Absolutely. You can get a copy of the book. You can enroll in the masterclass, www.themakeitmatterproject.com/Brian, Brian. And you can go ahead and join us. And we're going to also get our community started soon too. So I love it. Brian, as always, a pleasure, man. I thank you for joining us. I thank you for the work you've helped us with on this project. Look forward to talking to you again real soon.
Always.